This was the technique of expressive singing with Donald Brenniger. Now, Don has been on the show several times and makes this list every single time. Now, there is good reason for that. He is a great conversationalist, but one of the things that's great about Don when he comes on the show is he is like almost distilling information into short amounts of time to the point where every little part of the conversation is jam-packed with usable information. And I think that's why his episodes resonate with folks. One of the most persistent false dichotomies in choral teaching and choral music pedagogy is the idea that technique and expression are somehow on two different sides of the coin. I see this question all the time. Should we be focusing on the technique or should we be focusing on expressive singing? Now, Don is quick to point out that this is a false dichotomy. The episode argued from a book that he has written quite the opposite point, which is that expression emerges from technique, from coordination of the vocal instrument, not from vague emotional commands layered on top of dysfunctioning voices. When singers are free, clear, and stable, expression becomes possible and reliable. You can count on it. And this episode mattered because expression without technique isn't really artistry. It's just well-intended noise. In the 8th spot, episode 236 is Unlocking Student Musicianship with Cindy Ellis. If students can't function musically without the teacher, the musicianship hasn't been taught. Dependence has. But as Cindy explains from her experience in one of the most phenomenal choral programs in the United States, this takes time. Infrastructure and pedagogy has to be a combination of all those things. And so Cindy and I compare notes on our similar philosophies, but that exist in two very different teaching realities. And what can we expect from ourselves? We, of course, get to hear a lot about Cindy's methods in that episode, but we also are then able to touch on the fact that we all operate within different contexts when we teach, and it's important not to compare ourselves to each other, especially the Instagram version of each other's careers. This episode matters because we are all teaching in radically different contexts, but good teaching can, and often does, transcend our individual circumstance. At the number 9 spot on the list was an episode that is close and near and dear to my heart, which is The Choir Teacher That Sucks, with Mitch Al-Obeidi. It's a provocative title, but it wasn't a joke and was not my words. It was the words of my guest, Mitch. Mitch joined the conversation to weigh in on why he resigned his teaching position and why he was feeling despondent about his skills in the area of leading a choir. The episode confronted some very common emotions and obstacles faced by young teachers. Most of the discussion centered around two buckets: unrealistic expectations and the lack of preparation and training. This episode mattered because teachers all over the country, especially under 30, are leaving the profession in high numbers, for very similar reasons to the ones Mitch outlines in this episode. At the number 10 spot is episode 264, Education's Race to the Bottom of the Brainstem. Borrowing a phrase from the tech ethicist Tristan Harris, this episode examined what happens when education begins competing for attention, the same way social media does. It challenged the over-reliance on gamification, dopamine chasing, and the uncritical use of meet them where they are as a buzz phrase or expression, when where they are might be fragmented, dysregulated, and exhausted. And it's not okay to meet them where they are and then leave them there. This episode mattered because if learning has to entertain to survive, it won't survive long. These episodes weren't designed to be comforting. They were designed to be useful. Then, together, they argue for a version of music education that trusts students with challenge, teachers with responsibility, and learning with time. It's not trendy and it's not durable. So if you're new here to the Choralosophy podcast within the last year or two, this list is a really good place to start if you're trying to get caught up. If you've been listening all year, thank you for staying around for those hard conversations.